Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are across the known world, and welcome back to The Crown Between Two Roses. I'm Countess Beatrix.
And I'm Countess Lilya. First of all, we would like to thank Magnus for coming up with this fantastic, wonderful idea to interview the crowns of the known world, and their majesties for joining us as well. Thank you so much. But before we start, as tradition, we will acknowledge the first landholders of our country. Good nobles, we come together here in the spirit of fellowship and the deepening of our skills, sharing of our knowledge, and the shared interest in the search for truth through experimental archaeology and historical inquiry. It is in this context that I, Countess Lilya Bintazir, on behalf of my kingdom, acknowledge the traditional holders of the land upon which we gather. We recognize their continuing connection to land and culture, and we pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to the elders from other communities and lands that may be gathering here today. Thank you, Your Majesties.
Thank you so much, and it is awesome for you to join us today. Daman and Veronique from Artemisia. So whereabouts is your kingdom located mundanely?
Mundanely, we are located through all of Montana and Utah, most of Idaho, except for the finger part, the narrow finger up at the top, and parts of the western parts of Wyoming and Colorado.
So very close neighbors to Outlands.
Yes, Outlands are right on our border.
So we ask most of our kings and queens, do you know where the name of your kingdom came from and its heraldry? Like where the heraldry came from?
Oh. Do I? Yes. Can I access it in my big fighter brain right now? Not right off the top of my head. Oh, Sean's going to get me for this one. I'm so sorry. I don't have that right off the top.
We're a fairly young kingdom. It's our 24th year.
Yeah, 24th year. The 48. This is the 48th reign.
It started as the 46th reign. We just moved into the 47th, what would have been the 47th.
Right, with the reign that will hopefully end sometime, but we love what we're doing. So if it doesn't, it doesn't. And
we are actually an offshoot of Aidenbelt. And it was just such a large amount of land that it was really hard for people to get together. And so as time would have it, Artemisia was born.
So when I started in the SCA, we were part of Aidenbelt. So our kingdom went from the border of Canada to Mexico.
Wow.
All through the American time zone. So now we've just taken that and just shaved off Arizona and left them as Aidenbelt, but the rest of that land is still ours.
Okay.
And before that, we were part of Outlands, and but that was well before my time.
Yeah.
So how long does it take to get from one corner of your kingdom to another?
It depends on where you're coming from and where you're going. There are places in our kingdom that are not technically border to border. It takes us about 10 hours, but we're pretty close to the most eastern, where we live, the most eastern group of our kingdom. There we go. Words are hard. But for most people, I would say it's probably somewhere between 4 and 6 hours is really average for event travel. For us to get to the south, it's between 8 and 9 hours. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's a very large mountain range that runs along our kingdom. So it does make that getting back and forth a little more difficult, at least for us being so far east.
So what is your kingdom known for in the known world?
Pelicans.
You have a lot of them.
We're helpers. It's a cultural thing. In our culture, mundanely, the way we're raised, you're raised to help your neighbor, to do the things. We come from a lot of farmers and ranchers. and that kind of stuff. And so that is a very predominant feature of our kingdom, is we are helpers.
We are one of the smallest kingdoms and populous, if not the. All depends on the year but the people we do have are high quality. Our service, our artisans, our fighters, they're all absolutely wonderful.
We're very, very lucky.
Do you have any traditions that are unique to your kingdom?
I'd probably say one of my, we are steep in tradition. One of my favorite traditions is when, during the knighting ceremony, when we're passing the chain around to all the knights, we all sing "Born on the List Field." And it's just that it's the one moment that always gets me in any knighting ceremony. Yeah. No matter how close of a friend they are, I'm good. We start singing and I'm done before the end of it. I'm just a crying mess.
So the passing on of a chain, could you explain that to us? Because I don't think we have that in our kingdom.
No.
Oh, okay. During period ceremony, so with the knights, the chain, with the laurels, the wreath. I was debating between wreath and medallion, but because medallion was way too generic, the wreath, or for our pelicans, the
pelican medallion.
Yeah, the pelican medallion. We pass it amongst the members of that order to imbue essence, and just everybody just holds it for a second or two, or 30 seconds, or just whatever you feel is appropriate, and then pass it to the next pair, and all the way around until it gets back to the king and queen. So just a little bit of everybody that's there is just
included.
That was part of it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's something that we haven't heard of before.
Oh,
yeah.
See, that's one of those things with me. It's just, that's just how it is. Why?
Yeah.
That's different?
Because what we do in Lochac is our members of other peerages, not only the chivalry, do wear a fealty chain with a medallion attached to it. So we will have links from others attached to that chain. And if it's a medallion that is to have that essence imbued into it, it's generally done well before the ceremony, in the lead up, not during the ceremony itself. So we have done that with rose ceremonies, with passing on the rose. All of the roses had worn it for a period of time, and then it was passed on to the new rose coming in.
Oh, that's cool.
We may have stole it from your kingdom. I like stealing ideas. It's good.
It's sharing of knowledge.
We're all here together. We're all here to share. And like I just gave an interview here just the other day, and they asked me about my fighting style. I'm like, well, I steal from everybody that I fight. It's like everybody that I fight, everybody that I see, I'm like, that is neat. I'm going to go home and see if I can figure out how to do that.
Absolutely.
So this is your fourth reign together, is that correct?
It
yes.
is.
Yeah. And when did you step up?
Oh, I missed what you said. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So if it's your first reign, when did you step up to the COVID reign, as we're nicely calling it now?
Well, in this reign, we were supposed to step up right as the COVID hit. So our coordination was supposed to be Saturday, and we spent Thursday afternoon on the phone messaging everybody, being like, hey, what about this? What's going on? What should we do? Wow. And we went back and forth for about three and a half hours until we finally lost our sight. Yeah. They're like, nope, we're closing the doors today. You can't have anything this weekend. So we're like, oh, well, we just postponed coronation. So let's see what happens. And then we postponed it for a month. And by that time, obviously, everything was shut down. So we did our coronation virtually before we even knew what we were doing virtually. So it wasn't public. It was just a private Zoom meeting with whoever had to be there. Because we're like, oh, we'll be through this in a couple weeks or months. It'll be fine. No big deal. As you may notice, these are not traditional king and queen crowns, because these are still our P&P hats that we've been wearing ever since we got them a year ago now.
Wow.
It's like it's right
Last
about our one
weekend?
around last weekend or this weekend. It varies just a little bit. Is the 1-year anniversary of us winning crown. So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
So perfect timing, really.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's a sentence I never thought I'd say while still sitting on the chairs.
Yeah.
We do have hope,
So-
though. We actually might get our proper crowns this weekend. It's possible that we may have something worked out. So,
Right,
I mean, you know,
Yeah.
a year, probably about time.
right.
I think our crown has taken the time during this to get the proper, like our big crowns we're in desperate need of some repair.
Oh yes.
So
Yeah.
they have been with the repairer for the COVID space. And
point.
it's given a heap of time for them. Yeah.
So since this is your 4th reign, do you have traditions or like suspicions that you follow when you're entering a crown tournament? Because you've reigned together for 4 times. So, do you get used to it, or is it something that you've kind of gone, okay, must remember
Me
socks?
every single time. I have this really bad habit of not breathing through the finals every time. And it never seems to be any different for me.
Yeah. Since the first one, we've made a serious attempt at 5 of them, and we've been successful 4 times. I'd probably say the most interesting one was the second one, because that was 8 years ago now.
Almost 7 and a half.
Almost 7.5.
Oh no, 8, yeah.
Yes.
Math is
A
hard.
month or so before Crown, we've found out that we were having our first child. So it was really one of those like, are we going to do this? Is it really a good idea to be crowned with an expecting baby in the middle of the reign? Maybe yes, no. And that was one of those back and forth ones. That was the one where it was just a fortunate day for me, because my head was not completely in it. And I just kind of ended up in the finals. And then I lost the first fight of the best 2 out of 3 in the finals. And I look over and she's not breathing.
Yeah.
And nobody in the household's breathing.
No.
All just staring at me like, what? Why'd you die? What happened? What? That was supposed to happen. And I get up and I go back to a corner, and I'm like, okay, how's this going? Are we walking out of here as prince and princess or not? I'm like, no, we are. Okay, let's do it. And I was like, all right, let's put it all out there. And I got focused for 10 minutes and won 2 fights and came out of it. As Her Majesty mentioned earlier, we have the Rocky Mountains, the large mountain range in the middle of our kingdom. And the weekend before she was due, we had our crown tournament in the barony of Arnhold, which is 10 hours away over the mountain range.
Boise, Idaho.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So it was quite a ways away, with long stretches of just kind of nothing. It's like, okay, if this happens in one of these stretches, what are we going to do? Oh, we'll be fine. Let's just go.
My mom was not happy. My doctor was not happy. The populace was pretty sure I was going to have the baby at the tournament. I did not. She came a week later.
Yeah, we heard plenty of jokes about having heirs before we have heirs.
Yeah.
On the same day. So
To be able to say that we have the one and only Artemesian born royal. So she's the original Artemesian princess.
Very cool.
So yeah, that was probably one of our biggest adventures because we hadn't told anybody before Crown because we just didn't want to hear it. And
it was also just early enough that we weren't
ready.
We weren't ready to tell people until it got far enough along, because it's fun to tell people. I'm sure it's not fun to tell people that that's not happening anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a conversation we wanted to have. So
we have a tournament over here that one of my guards was organizing, and she's now a duchess, but she said to us, I kind of made a promise that I would go to all of my guards local areas, and I couldn't make it to hers, so we went to Adelaide, and my husband announced my pregnancy on the tournament field before we had told our family. Kind of like lifted him and went, and he went, I'm excited. Just like, thanks, baby. Like, wait to steal the thunder. I understand why you kind of wanted to keep it quiet.
So what events would you suggest that any people, any of the populace from Lochac should come to if they come to visit Artemesia?
King's Road.
King's Road is our big kingdom camping event that we're working on every year, and that's around 4th of July weekend, and that is a good time. Melee Madness is another good one. It's down in southern Utah, and it's up on the hill, and they have a amphitheater there that's made all out of stone, so it looks like a castle once you get up in there. And it's one of the best fighting experiences that you can have, because we actually get to fight through the corridors. So it's an open air experience, but you're in brick and mortar corridors that look like a medieval castle fighting, and you're going upstairs around corners, and it's just a very, very unique experience that I haven't gotten that particular experience anyplace else in the known world that I've been able to get to.
That sounds amazing. That would be the kind of thing I would love to go and do.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So how have you been engaging with your populace throughout this reign then?
We've been doing as much virtually as we can. We've been having virtual events every other weekend. We've finally figured out a decent way to start giving out awards virtually, which is something we were very reluctant to do, but we're trying to make it as special as we can, which that has given us a unique opportunity to catch some people that we normally wouldn't catch at events. Okay. And B, it's really funny to call someone out in a virtual court, and then it's just like somebody running back to their camp to find them because somebody gets on the phone and they're texting them. And we've given out several awards to people like who you can see they popped on their phone. Hi, and you see they're in their car. I just took a break. I was at work. What can I do for you, Your Majesty? Hi, here's an award. Well, welcome to. Thanks for taking 15 minutes out to come out and receive an award. Now you can go back to work. So we've caught people on their couches, people just lounging, because just like any other time, it's not like we tell them, hey, you better put on garb and be ready. No, when we call you, it's just whenever we can catch you.
Wow. So are you having virtual courts as well? Like scheduled virtual courts?
Yep. Those are virtual courts. We have done laurel ceremony virtually. We have done 2 investitures virtually with our Baron and Baroness of Griffinslayer and Sentinel's Keep. which, like I said, our fourth reign, we have not been king and queen for an investiture until this reign. So our first two have both been virtual.
Oh no.
Huge learning curve.
Absolutely.
Thankfully, the populace is very forgiving. We appreciate that about them immensely.
Oh wow. I'm actually really curious around the virtual peerage ceremony. We've got our first one coming up in a couple of weeks. So because our crown have not been running very many courts virtually, they're very much of the mindset they're trying to go back to face, and in Lochac we're at different levels, but face-to-face events are occurring.
Okay.
In quite a few of the groups. We've still got a couple of groups that are not allowed to do anything, but last weekend we had our first face-to-face baronial changeover. So the peerage ceremony that's coming up in a couple of weeks will be quite interesting. How have you found those?
The one that we did, we actually had tapped her when we were still under the impression that we would be going back to in-person events. And so we talked with her. I said, "Are you game for this? What do you think?" And she's like, "Oh, I think it'll be amazing." And for her, I think it was perfect. She's very heavy into sign language. So she was able to sign her oath for everybody to see, which was really, really a cool opportunity. Her laurel is from Atlantia or Trimeris? Oh,
you're the one bringing this up. I did not remember exactly where she's from. I'm sorry.
It's from one of the two, but much further from us than would have been able to attend. She was able to attend and be part of the ceremony that way.
And she actually, Magdalena, who was the peer that we made, she actually came to us from the Outland several years ago. So several of the Outlanders could make the ceremony easily.
Wow.
And
lovely.
yeah, she's mostly deaf, if not all. So sign language is very important to her. And that was a neat way for us to do it. We had some good friends of ours who had been crowns before, Yuri and Samaya, stand in for us in the ceremony. And they did a wonderful job with it.
They did.
And it's definitely interesting taking oaths or dubbing virtually. That's definitely one of those visuals that is odd to go with. But we're trying. We're trying to make it as best as we can.
So yeah, I think it takes a particular participant, but I think it can be a very valuable tool. Yeah. And I think we're at least discussing doing a couple more before this is all said and done. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Every day's a new adventure. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, for us it was just a really cool opportunity.
Are you doing any other online events or anything like that happening in your kingdom? So, for example, Lochac, we're having the Bardic Showcase come up very soon. So, do you have any interactive events happening?
I don't know what we have coming up soon. We did just finish our Kingdom A&S champion. We did all of that virtually. Very thankful to the tech people in our lives, in our kingdom. They are doing a beyond phenomenal job, and we couldn't be more thankful for them. And then we are discussing doing a Queen's Prize again this year. So that is a tournament for anyone below a grant level, or grant level or below. No, below a grant level, to enter, to show. And it's really just to show us what you're doing, show us how you're getting started, let us give you tips to keep going. And that display went over really well last year, and we're looking forward to doing it again this year. And I believe we're going to be doing that in a virtual format, which is pretty cool. We have our Kingdom Bard. She is lighting up performances for courts. So we get several bardic performances through our courts when we have that event every 2 weeks, because we are trying to stick to a traditional event format. So we have a morning court, and we have a day of classes, and we have an evening court. And sometimes there's a post revel depending on whose Zoom is around. So it's been really good.
Wow. It sounds like there is so much happening. Amazing. It's awesome.
So what are you missing the most about? Is it like the interaction with people, the fighting, like, yeah?
It's the people.
Yeah, the people. It's the interaction. It's the engaging with the populace.
Yeah.
One of the best parts about reigning is being with the populace and being able to see what everyone's doing, and being able to see people's faces light up when you show up with the crown. Like, oh, the crown's here. It's like,
Where?
oh, hey.
Oh yeah, that's us.
Yes, we've all had that moment. Where? Do I need to fancy? Oh no, that's me. Yep.
It is absolutely the people. We miss
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you both get started in the society?
I got started when I was a punk kid of 18 several years ago, and I was just looking for something to do, and it's a friend of my best friend knew about it and gave the full sales pitch to my best friend and looked over at me and said, "Oh, you can come too." I was like, "Yeah, I can. I can go do that. Yeah, I'll show up." And then I showed up and went to a couple meetings and went to a couple fighter practices and a couple after revels. I was like, "Oh, hey, I like these people. I can do this." And it just stuck. I mean, it's my chosen family. I've been doing this almost 25 years now. So yeah.
Just told them how old you are.
I don't care. I try to be subtle. I get of it a lot.
Age is just a number that we all forget
Exactly.
when we're having fun.
Hi.
Exactly. Go ahead.
My particular friend group kind of hung out on the fringes of our SCA group locally. And then I met this really cute guy, and we dated a little, and then he says, "I'm going to Australia War." And I've heard stories, like the old school stories, you know, the cloven fruit and the whose tent is. I've heard all of these stories. I am all of 19 years old. I've heard all of these stories. But I knew in that moment that if I told him it was the SCA or me, I was out the door, and he was really cute. So we started slowly, and I mean, I was a history major in school, so obviously it was something that appealed to me anyway. But yeah, I decided I'd see if I could hang out with the cute guy, and it seemed to work out for me. So here we are 17 years later.
Aw, that's an awesome love story.
So what are your personas?
I'm 11th century Varangian, part of the Varangian Guard. I followed Harold Hardrada from Sweden and Denmark down through Eastern Russia into the Byzantine Empire, and all the way back up again, and all the way through the Battle of Hastings in 1066. Yeah.
I am not nearly that interesting.
I think you are.
I do the 14th century French thing with the pretty clothes and the coffee and the...
I'm with you. I get it. I get
I'm
that.
not really that interesting. But I do have a cute guy to fight for me, so I'm all right.
Has your persona evolved or changed since you started in the SCA?
For me, pretty much once I found this persona, I really just kind of stuck with it. I was much more into the Eastern Russia, Byzantine earlier on. It's went more Nordic for further that I went. I'm about 6'1", 6'2". I have long blondish curly hair. So Nordic was just one of those things that I was like, I'm not doing it. It's so obvious I can't do it. The older I get, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm Nordic. I'll just go Nordic. It makes sense. Why am I fighting this? Let's just go with it.
I have been busy dabbling in a bunch of the other things that the SCA has to offer. So I have not worked as much on my persona development as I probably should, but that is definitely a goal for me in the coming years as our daughter gets bigger and more independent, and I can like have my events back, stuff like that.
Just the one child?
Yes.
Yep. One and out.
Fair.
She's
Why rest with perfection?
So with your persona, sorry. So with your personas, has that created a theme for your reign?
Oh, yes. We definitely tried to lean reigns towards personas one way or the other. The first one we leaned way more Byzantine. Say the second one more French.
Yes.
Yeah, the second one was more French.
That was the coat hardies and the V dresses.
Yeah. And then by the third one we end up going more Nordic, because once again that's where I was naturally drawn, and it's nice to just be able to put on some oversized pants and a tunic and go. It really cuts down on the setup time when you're busy being shuffled from one place to the other to the next. Like, oh, Your Majesty, you're supposed to be over here. Oh, I am. Okay, let's go. Oh, I was supposed to be over here. Okay, let's go.
That was definitely part of the clothing choices for me. I had to be able to dress myself. I respect the very beautiful Italians and Germans, and no, I have to be able to dress myself.
Yes, I completely understand where you're coming from. It's that I'm independent and I can do this myself, and I don't want anyone around me. Yes.
Or when you're changing clothes, it's the 5 minutes you get to yourself for the day.
Yes, absolutely.
Sometimes if you can trick the lady in waiting.
I was the terrible queen who kept running away. Oh my God.
Oh no, that was one of my favorite games, especially in the evening. I called it dish the retinue. It's like drink. Oh look, gone. See how long it takes them to find me?
Yeah. I went to one event and I went in stealth mode. And it was pitch black at night. I had just changed into a tunic and pants, and I had a hood on, and I was walking around with my hood on, sneaking into all of these places.
Nice.
It was great because I could just go and be me. Yeah, the mischievous bee, not Queen Beatrix.
Yes.
When we went to Penzic as crowns, one of my favorite nights was they have the down in the bog, they have the hoity-toity party one night where you have to be the crowns or know somebody to get into it. But then the other night is the loady-toady party.
Yes.
Where no peers, no nothing. So we stripped down to the bare essentials, no belt, no chain. We took at the time His Majesty Rhoda from the North Shield with us. And we went, it was like, no, we want to go to the loady-toady party. So we went and we had a good time there.
Great time.
And then we're walking around and we're trying to get into this other party, which as crowns, you can easily do. When no one knows who you are, it's not as easy to do. But thankfully, as we're out there and the three of us are talking, it's like, I don't want to stand in line. What should we do? And look, and here comes the Queen of Caid, who's a friend of ours, and she goes right in. I'm like, quick, follow me. They're like, what? Oh, we're attending the Queen. We have to get to the Queen. I'm sorry, we must get by right now. We're attending the Queen. And and it's a site that's on this little hill, and it weaves all the way back up to this bar in the back of it. And she weaves all the way through this encampment, and we're just following her. And she gets all the way up to the top, and she turns around and goes, "Oh, hey, I didn't see you guys here." Yeah, we snuck in with you.
There.
The fun times that you have at Penzic. Yeah.
Had the most amazing idea ever. She had a hand muff, and she had her crown stashed in it. So she would take it out and put it on when she needed it, and then otherwise she could just cruise around, do her thing. Genius. Absolutely genius.
Be your next Kingdom ANS competition. How do we hide the crowns? And make them like period ways of doing it so it's easy to carry them.
We are doing monthly challenges. That one just might come up.
That'd be great.
Ooh, it could be a gift to the heirs, babe.
Right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or you could create stealth crowns.
Oh, yeah.
So I made my knight Viking skull cap because he's a court baron. He hates wearing any regalia like that. So I put 6 little dots around it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's a band with the 6 dots. Yeah, that's his regalia for his court barony.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So is there a specific award that you love giving out? Having been like the crown 4 times, there's got to be something that in each reign you kind of go, "Ooh, it's this one. We got to give this one out."
In our kingdom, I'd say it's the Griffin.
Yeah.
The Griffin is an award that we can give out once per reign, and it's just the person that exemplifies the society, the dream, to you. And it's obviously we've given out 3 of them. The first, I'm going to mix up who was first and second. Karn
was first.
Karn was first. I was her one of her champions back when I was an unbelted fighter, and she's one of the premier peers of our kingdom. My knight Basil was second, the second one that we gave out, and that was a treat. Something that I never thought I'd be able to do, or somebody else wouldn't get to before me. Because once you receive it, you don't receive it again. I don't know, that's just overkill at that point. And then last reign, it was Mistress of the Laurel, Fiametta, our current court herald, and we got to get her with that. And it's always fun when you can get your herald.
Yes.
That's how it's one of those true joys.
Oh, yes, it is.
Especially towards the end of a long reign, it's like, hey, we're doing something you don't know about. Because she very much wants to know about everything. And as the herald, that's a job. That's what she should be doing. But yeah, it's nice that was fun when we got her.
Wow.
I think for me, it's our A's. See that?
Oh,
that's lovely.
This is our AOA level award for our kingdom.
Wow, really?
Not the chain,
But
this is the chain I made for mine. But this is a replica of the A's that make our chains of estate, which we also don't currently have, but
right,
hope to
which
have
we
soon.
would normally be wearing. But
and so to give these is really cool because it's the first award that most people coming to us get, and you get to tell them about the history of it and that it is linked directly to your crowns, and it's for them to always remember where they came from and for them to know that they're home. And I think, in all honesty, this one is my favorite award to give.
That is such an amazing history, an amazing story. So with those, do they get passed on to other people?
No.
Okay, occasionally.
Well, yeah.
Just like anything, some people do. But whenever we give out an award, an AOA award, we give out one of the A's.
Okay.
I like the fact that you can personalize the necklace. So like you could do it in your kingdom colors or in your personal heraldry. So it's a very tangible kind of gift kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like it's not oh, here's your title, now wander away. It's something that somebody can recognize on your chest as a.
So they'll generally come on a cord like this.
Oh, very cool.
The lucid cord in Kingdom, we have wonderful artisans that donate them. But yeah, you absolutely have the choice to change what it's hang out, and that's what I chose to do with mine. Mine has the roses for my reins and my favorite colors, because I said it's my favorite.
Yep. Oh, that's awesome. So when you stepped up the first and second time, like the first time, obviously, were you surprised and shocked? And then your second time, you were saying that, you know, other things were taken into consideration.
Right.
So how did the third reign go? Was it just we've got this, we'll do this now and it'll be fine? Or were you kind of like, oh, we'll throw our hat in the ring, and if it happens, it happens? Like, were you planning it, or was it, you know?
Yeah, we were planning the third one. It was definitely one of those goals that happened. The time
50 year.
Yeah, that yeah, we were able to be crowns for a 50 year with that one.
Awesome.
So that was pretty highly contested.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, taking our kingdom, our little kingdom, across the country to Indiana, the Middle Kingdom, for their 50-year event. I think we had 170.
Yeah, we had a very large.
Like 170, I think 178 people over the Middle Kingdom, and just rocked that 50-year event. Every place that we were the most active kingdom by far, and it was in the Middle Kingdom. And every place that we went, I would hear people talking about Artemesians, and it was amazing. Running the gate, helping out, teaching classes, on the heavy field, on the rapier field. Our rapier fighters just destroyed people like they normally do, but it was especially noteworthy at 50 year.
I mentioned we're helpers. It's kind of our thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that third and fourth, those were definitely ones that we've a lot of times there's something that we feel needs to be done, or it's like, oh hey, this needs to be corrected, or this has somehow been overlooked. And if we're able to put ourselves in a position to create something that needs to be done, or create something that's going bad, we'll do it. Because there have definitely been a lot of good times. There have definitely been some rough times. And just like everybody, there are people that you love to death. And there's one or two people that you're like, can you find something else to do? Just go find another hobby. That would be awesome. I like a lot of people, just one or two. It's just like, why are you trying to make my life miserable? Just for kicks? I don't understand.
Well, and we've talked about it at length, and I think we ended up exactly where we should be for this particular reign. I couldn't imagine it being someone's first reign. What an awful first experience for them. So we have the experience, and we got to have some of the fun. And so it's not quite so bad to just have all the work to do and not really get to do the play.
Right. Go ahead.
Oh, and I was saying, we know a lot of people, so thankfully we've got a lot of good connections that have been just lifesavers all the way around. And I think we're kind of what the kingdom needed.
Yeah, we're right place, right time, right people. And like we obviously, like I said, this happened right before our coronation, so we definitely don't have heirs. But but even like down in Nadenvelt, with the Morgan and Elizabeth, thank you. I'm like, I know I'm going myself. Sticking on, even though they have rightful heirs, because they've done it before and they're great at it. and they're trying to make the experience as best as they can for their wonderful heirs.
Yeah.
And trying to it's like, no, we're not giving this to you in the middle. Hi, here's your first raid in the middle of a global pandemic. We're off. So we definitely commend that. That is awesome of them, and we love all four of those guys.
I can honestly say, with all of the kings and queens that we've interviewed, the majority of the things that you all have in common is that there's a passion to ensure that the game is played fairly, and that you step up specifically because you know that you can make a difference for everybody else, not yourselves. Like, it's not an ego. It's very much we're doing this for our kingdom because we love our kingdom. So it is really like nice to hear that that's why you put your hands up. So thank you for answering that question.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would be one of your proudest moments in the SCA?
Oh, that's so tough.
Not that at a crown tournament.
The first crown, when I got to make Veronique a princess for the first time. I mean, every time is special, but that first time is just because after the first time, you know that you can do it. Before the first time, you hope you can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care what people say. Until you do it, you don't know.
Yeah.
And the look of abject horror in my face didn't deter him one bit.
Yeah.
Scared to death.
One of my favorite proud moments of the kingdom actually goes back to 50-year, the 50-year opening ceremony. Have all the crowns that are there. We had most of the crowns there for the opening ceremony, and you're out in the middle of this area, and there's all these people watching, and you're not really doing much. I mean, you've seen or been part of big events with multiple crowns. It's like, if you're not the host, if you're not the main one, you're just like, hi, we are so happy to be here. This is great. But when they're processing us out, we go out, and about halfway up, they announce Artemisia. They're announcing every kingdom on the way out, and everybody else was just like crickets. As soon as they said Artemisia, this overwhelming roar came from the crowd, from our populace there, and I was just so proud of our kingdom. It's the silliest thing to be proud of, I know, but it was just like, yes, we are here and we are making it known. And someone happened to catch a great shot, pumping my fist in the middle of it, that we hang on our wall, and it was just like, yeah, our kingdom will be known. Whether you like it or not, you will know Artemisia.
Yeah. And you, Your Majesty? Do you have a proud moment?
It's definitely a big proud moment. Just all the way around. Artemisia represented so well, and like His Majesty had mentioned, I mean, we represented in fighting, we represented in arts, we represented in service, and he's right. Every time you turn around, somebody wanted to talk to you about this populace member or that. Oh, you're from Artemisia? Oh, well, I just had this person help me carry my groceries back, and and oh, good. I'm glad to hear. Like, it was so cool to be involved with that, because you're just proud parents. It was phenomenal. A lot of my proud moments, and this is going to sound really bad, is I really do like to make award recipients cry.
Yeah.
If I can get them to cry, that's a pretty big proud moment. Like, that's a thing. So I have
at least one per court. That was my goal.
See, yeah, that's always a pretty proud moment for me, when I can really, you've made it special enough that you've really hit home for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That one's always a pretty big one for me.
Yeah, that look on their face. We've only made one bleed. That was virtually
That's not our fault. That was her husband's fault.
that Magdalena. As soon as she figured out what was going on, bam, nosebleed.
Oh no.
It was still at that time.
Yeah. Okay.
Bam, nosebleed. Like 1 minute we look, she's fine. You see the look on her face. Next time you see her, bam, she's covering up the nose.
Oh no.
Totally made one bleed. And it was virtual, so it can't even come back to anything.
Not everybody gets to claim that. That's pretty cool.
Exactly.
Oh wow.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
So did you know where we were before we asked you to join us for a chat? Like where Lochac is?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It's actually been a dream of Damon's to make it down that way someday, and we just haven't quite
Yep.
gotten there because y'all are a long ways away.
Yeah. When I was in 5th grade, we did a teacher exchange program. So we sent our teacher to Australia, and we got a teacher back from Australia. So we sent away the cranky elderly gentleman who did not like his job. And we got back the early 30s, hyper Australian woman who was all excited to teach us about everything Australia. And we have a member of our populace who just moved back from there.
We do.
And we sent 4 members down there last year to check out your great kingdom and catch an event. Duke Timur and Duchess Tiana and Duncan. And,
I met them.
yeah,
They are fabulous, fabulous people, and also very well entwined with our kingdom's history.
Yeah.
I made Andreas. Well, he's Sir Master Andreas now, but I made him do a belly dancing class with me with Tiana.
Oh yeah.
And he was just like, "Really? He's 6'5". I'm 5'2".
Okay.
He was just like, "This is awkward." I was like, "Yeah, we'll be fine." But he had a lovely time with them, and we had a great time drinking with them. They were amazing people.
They are.
Yeah, Tiana's handwork when she's dancing is just mesmerizing.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
So Adele is the person who's come back, yeah?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
She was a
Yeah.
fantastic herald for us. I
Oh,
hope she's continuing on in your kingdom. She was amazing for us.
oh no,
So-
we love her. We are so happy to have her back. I mean, not that we didn't enjoy sharing her, but we're so happy that she's home.
We didn't want to let her go. Just
Yeah,
saying.
she was
I don't blame her. I didn't want to let it go the first time.
Right?
and so many octopuses. Like we've all got an octopus. It's great. Such a genuinely lovely person. So if the rest of your kingdom is like hers, like her, then yeah, we were going to have to visit. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
We'd love to have you guys.
We are, yeah, it's like being home.
Yeah.
We're very welcoming. We're steep in tradition, but we'd like to mix it in with with fun. So we think we hit that. We think we hit a good balance of it.
We
Yeah.
try to.
At least that's our goal.
I
And
think
when it comes to
Lil
worst,
and I,
very robust brewers guilds. So
Yeah. excellent. I think Lil and I are going to have to do like a kingdom
Well,
pop. Yeah, road tour after this. Just with everyone that we've met and just so welcoming. Absolutely welcoming.
you've absolutely got a place to stay if you make it here.
oh,
Oh,
thank
we
you.
will. We will. At some point, we will.
So, did you hear any crazy stuff about Lochac and its populace, or did you just kind of go, "Oh my god," because we get a lot of strange stories.
Honestly, most of it was just my concern of Timur traumatizing y'all.
Yeah.
Was really I was way more concerned about.
No.
We love
No.
Timur.
No.
It can be a bit much on occasion.
Okay, I have to throw this disclaimer in. I've known Timur has been one of my best friends for at least 20 years. I love him. He's my brother. And this is the second interview that I've been saying negative stuff about him. So I have to even it out. I feel like I went too far the other way.
He's a phenomenal human being.
He is.
I just be careful, trusting your booze or children with him.
Why? Just because he picked them.
Yes.
Yes, he would give the
probably
children the
would mix
booze.
the children with the booze.
Well, the collegians loved him. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no,
Always a good time.
I only heard wonderful things about your kingdom. It was all great.
Made us want to come visit more.
Yeah.
We'll
Or come visit. Yeah.
You should.
Yeah. All right. Our plan is to try and make it back to Penzic the next time it runs. So if you're there, we'll definitely do catch-ups.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah.
Do you have stories that you like to tell around a fire at night that you can share with us? Your favorite story?
Oh. Yeah, a lot of mine come back to, off the top of my head, just fighter type stories, which I don't need to necessarily bore you guys with. Let me see if I can find something a little bit more generally interesting. Because everybody says fighter stories all over. Okay, you go.
One of my favorites is we had gone to an event called Dragon's Tear. It's a smaller event held in one of the shires here in Montana. And so it was
the Shire of Stanworm.
Yes, the Shire of Stanworm. And it was just His Majesty and I. And it's a decent little drive. It's about 4 hours. And so we'd gotten there and I'm like, okay, well, before we get checked in, I'm going to go potty and then we'll figure it out. And so I'm in a hoodie and jeans because we've been traveling.
First train.
It is our first train, which does become important. And I'm washing my hands after I've gotten done and I'm talking to this lovely, lovely lady. She's like, was that His Majesty that pulled up? I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. She says, oh, well, do you think he brought his wife with him? I'm like, oh, I sure hope not. And she says, why? I said, well, I rode up with him. What do you mean a wife? And so that is how I became the king's girlfriend. The not so secret girlfriend. And I got to play at that for a couple hours. Well, then of course we go to do court and we sit down and everybody announces and then jigs up. But the largesse that we had received, and I still have the tag to this day, it says to His Majesty's not so secret girlfriend. That one was absolutely one of my favorites. Cracks me up every time I think about it.
That's awesome.
It was so fun. You don't recognize. Oh no, I don't know who came up with him. I'm honoring.
Man, I'm not coming up with any of my great ones right now. One of my favorite ones was the after probably 2 years after I got knighted, was knighted. I'm wandering around our big event at the time, and I've my 2 squires with me, neither of which were drinking. So we would wander into an encampment, and they were like, "Oh, Daman, hey, can I get you a drink?" I'm like, "Yes, I'll take a fat tire." "Oh, let me get one for your squires too." And the first guy just ran off. It's like I didn't tell them that they weren't drinking. So they come back with 3 drinks, and I drank my drink, and I give it to a squire and take his drink because he's not drinking. Drink his drink, give that one to the other squire, drink his drink, instead of the next encampment, and proceeded to do that throughout the evening. I was having a great time. My squires, they thought it was fun at the beginning, but as they're carrying me back to camp several hours later, because I drank the drinks of 3 of us in the night, I like to think they were still amused, but either way, they still got me back and they still talked to me afterwards. So.
And you're still married, so I think that's quite important.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. No, I'm in our kingdom, I'm known as the good night. Come find me. If somebody's bothering you, come find me.
Yeah.
Make sure that you get back to your encampment and you're taken care of properly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely.
We like Tiana, as we mentioned earlier, her Grace. She's working on her laurel and napping, as she may have mentioned to you. She loves to nap, It was always fun. It was always fun when she was reigning, because if I couldn't find her, I would go look behind the thrones, and that's where she would be, just curled up in a little ball, taking a little power nap in the middle. Like I'm working on mine and hugging, just like she's working on it. And that, because there's a lot to hugging and a lot of things that people don't understand, and if you hug someone properly, they appreciate it. They care about it. You can let someone know that they're safe and that they're there and that you care about them.
Absolutely.
And there's a time frame. You have to like know when to disengage.
Oh yeah, you have to know when to disengage.
Yeah, so I think you should write this. This should be a collegia on how to hug in the SCA. It's a fantastic collegia. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Several. It comes. You have to have the right footwork. Your hips are important. Shoulders, amount of contact, pressure. See, you didn't think about this before I started talking about it. You're like,
I think it's a fantastic idea. You have to be aware of other people's regalia. Yeah, you have to be aware of other people's regalia so it doesn't get knotted. Or you get stabbed by a brooch pin. Yeah, you should do it.
Yeah, the things are tough because most long-haired females are generally shorter than you, so they come up, give you a hug. They're like, oh, wait, no, I can't go away. You have to get back beforehand.
You should do it. I say do it.
I agree.
Well, we definitely look forward to seeing that research.
I'm working on my documentation.
You have committed at a known world level to this project. Did you catch that?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
You can get your populace to send you any little illuminations of two people going in for a hug, like from scroll work.
That would go wrong in about 4 seconds. Once again, met Timur and Dunker. They would lead that charge.
And now that it's out there, that's what's going to happen, and you'll start receiving all of this illumination.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's a scroll that we gave out at King's Road. That what am I looking for? Micrography, where the scrolls are written in little tiny words and they make a picture.
Yeah.
So Master Braden may have made a picture that was inappropriate to show in court of a male body part. This was for Timur, wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was for His Grace Timur that we made Fiametta read in court.
Fantastic.
During the third reign. Yeah, and it was like you can read it, but you cannot show that. You cannot show that in here. We have kids here. This is still a family event. You can't. Censorship. No, just no.
But Braden Timur laughed and laughed.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
It really does.
Mischief. There is a lot of mischief in our kingdom. Most of it good-hearted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of mischief.
I think our kingdoms would get along very well.
Yes, very much so.
Speaking of mischief, I just thought of a good story.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Was it the first reign uprising? Timur was after us? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. First reign, an uprising court, large grand court. As you both know, when you're sitting in court, you always keep an extra eye on the back to make sure that nobody's trying to pull something over on you, or there's nothing weird going on. And I'm sitting in court, and Timur and Sage. Yes, Timur and Sage are a prince and princess. So Timur's sitting right next to me. And we're seeing these people start to line up with these platters. And
this isn't the one I thought you were telling.
Oh no, yeah. No, that was earlier. And these large covered things in the back of court. And I'm like, what are they doing? I'm like, there's like 7 of them now. I'm like, no, this is a thing. I don't know what's going on. Why do I not know what's going on? So they make a presentation in one of the baronies, and 5 of them come forward. And they go in front of all the barons. And I was like, don't make me get mad. Don't embarrass me. Don't make this bad. Don't make this inappropriate. I'm like, what can we do? What? No. And they peel them off. And there are all these cod pieces, all these giant cod pieces in the form of the baronial device. Like one's a moose, one's a peacock, a swan.
They were really well done.
A griffin. Oh, they look wonderful. But there are still 2 people back there. and all the barons, they're putting it on over their garb. They're hopping right into it. And I look at Timur, I'm like, Timur, you do what you need, but I'm the crown. I have to be the dignified one here. I am not putting on a griffin cod piece in front of the populace. Can't do it, won't do it. And I'm like, she's like, oh, okay, I'll do it. I'll be the goofy one. That's okay. And as you know, Timur's a lot. So they come up and I'm like, oh, okay. And like these are even taller than the other ones. Oh my God, what are you people doing to me?
You are the king.
Right? And they pull off the cover, and it was these very nice mugs with my personal device on it and Timur's personal device on it. Cups. Yeah, one of my Squire brothers had made all of these because he does amazing leather work. Saragadai. And I was like, oh, I let out the biggest sigh of relief. Thank God you did not do that to me.
Amazing.
I'm totally going to tell the other one. Great story.
So the day before.
So at the same event, we also had a children's court, and it's just for the kiddos. Moms and dads can hang out in the back, but it's your
heralds are children. Everyone's seated in front of you as all the kids of the kingdom. The only people actually in court that aren't standing around the edges that aren't kids are the barons and baronesses and the king, queen, and the royal court.
So it's still myself and Daman and Timur and Sage.
So like I said before, Timur's a lot.
He is. He's kind of an overgrown cartoon character, and we adore him. And
whether he means to a lot, he brings in a lot of attention to himself. Mm-hmm. It's just how he is, and I love that about him. But when you're the crown and he's the prince, you really don't want to be enveloped into the Timurness of it. So I was feeling a lot of pressure to try to keep up with him in zaniness, goofiness, just overall personality.
And so at one point during this court, there was a presentation for His Highness, Timur. And it's presented, and it is this beautiful little sock monster. And so, of course, it's Timur, so he's got to put it on. And he's busy chat.
And it has these 2 large googly eyes on it.
Well, it did when it started. And there's chatty, and he's all up in Damon's face, and Damon's had just enough of this. So he's done.
I wasn't done. I was trying to find some way to keep up with him.
And Daman says...
So I look at him in court, very innocently, say, Timur, keep your one-eyed monster away from me.
And everyone over 4 foot tall lost it.
Except for me.
Except for him, because he has no idea what he's just said.
I am being very literal. It's a one-eyed monster. It's in my daddy at me. I tell him to get it away from me. Everyone's losing it. Me and all the children are just like, what just happened? I don't understand. Why is everyone... People are falling over.
God, it was so bad.
People are falling out of their baronial chairs. And I'm just like, what? And finally, when she can breathe, Her Majesty looks at me like, I'm like, what? I'm like, what? Think about what you said. Very slowly. Very slowly. I'm like, oh. Okay. Yeah. My bad. I chose children's court to do this in. Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
That's that you're human.
Oh,
Story I thought you were telling.
Yeah, no, I'd forgotten about that one for the moment.
So there you go.
oh, thank you so much. It has been amazing to get to know both of you just that little bit more. It really has.
We've actually reached the end of our hour. It's been amazing. Like I said, your kingdom has been a kingdom that we've met a small group of people from, and all of us want to come and visit you. And please come and visit us if you can. If not, hopefully we'll catch up with Penzic and have a drink and a couple more laughs together. That's an amazing story. Thank you so much.
This is so awesome. This is a great way to get everybody talking, to get everybody out.
And what a cool idea.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to your collegiate hugs, though.
We'll send you a personal invite when we get the class up.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you both. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody who's been watching us. Please like and share our page, and we will be back next week interviewing the crowns of Atlantia and Ontia. So enjoy your week. Have some fun. Thank you again, Your Majesties, for sharing information, making the Gnome World a little bit closer across these hard times. And we will see you all next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.